So welcome to the session, you guys. Thank you to KIS for inviting me back. Last time I was here, I was not wearing the Dell blue. I was wearing the HPE green. So that's how long it's been since I've been here. So I've been around this block, and these are fantastic partners. Let me just set some context. You're all customers of KIS?
Yes.
All right. Awesome. Primarily on the compute side, primarily on the data center side, or what's the technologies that each use?
Switching and firewalls for me.
Networking, okay.
We're also a Dell customer, as she's with me. But
Okay.
We're a Dell customer, but not through KIS. We have a
Okay.
direct
Okay.
Dell partnership.
Okay. How you feel about Tom right now? I see you on TV. Well,
Yep,
we'll
yep.
talk about that later.
Yeah.
What about you, sir?
Pretty much a long time KS
Okay.
customer.
Okay.
Primarily, they support my VMware and Dell.
VMware? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. You know, used to be part of the family. Talk a little bit about that too.
Sure.
What you meant?
We're a long-term KS. We also have a contract with Dell.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you say contract, so you public entity?
Okay, not really a contract. We have a sales guy that we're in connection with.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So just want to, just set that context. I'm James Hicks. I'm one of the senior partner systems engineers. My role is to make sure KIS knows data center portfolio, make sure that their engineers can articulate the Dell story to customers who are looking for data center stories, data center technologies, and solutions for their end customers. I do not like talking about latency and IOPS and bits. I don't like to talk about that. I like to talk about workloads. I like to talk about why it matters to the end customer in terms of what it is we're trying to position into an environment. Because at the end of the day, my array is just as fast as Pure is, it's just as fast as HP's is, it's just as fast as IBM's is, whatever. When you start looking at the data services that are layered on top of those physical pieces of infrastructure, or you start looking at the support, you start looking at the services and things like that, that's really where everyone starts to differentiate. And that's where the customer has to make that technical conversation of this matters to me more than that. So I wanted to set that context as well. I'm going to talk a little bit about Dell Technologies as an overall organization, talk about our compute portfolio, storage, our cloud portfolio, and data protection. And I'm gonna do all that in 20 minutes or less. We get you out of here on time. Go ahead, man.
Do you know personally about Live Optics? I think that's what it's called with Dell.
Live Optics is our tool, right?
That's your tool, right? Okay, what does that actually do? It just scans your servers and
your entire network. So
your entire network. That's
not part of this, but you know what, I'll tell you, because that's a great question from a technology perspective. It is a tool to scan not just your servers, but your whole infrastructure that's on the network. It's non-intrusive, meaning it doesn't go in and start manipulating data, but in a way, it'll see the topology of the network, sees what architecture you're running, sees what brand, what manufacturer, what rev, what BIOS, things of that nature, so we can make calculated and conscious decisions about when it's time to upgrade. If you're running at a particular performance peak on a storage array, this is when you may need to expand capacity and things of that nature. So Live Optics runs just on any system that's on the network. We go out there and we peruse the network, gather that back, create a report, and we do some analysis on that. And it's free to partners.
Okay.
I think it's free to customers too.
Yeah.
We're giving this stuff away. Again, non-intrusive. I want to say that specifically because, again, a lot of times you put something on your network guy right here, right? You don't know what it's going to do, but again, it doesn't have any ill effects on your network. It's just going out there and pinging all the publicly accessible information on the network. Question, don't we? That's us. We got a lot of stuff. We got a lot. So Dell is that 800-pound gorilla now, right? Again, when you look at from a portfolio perspective of hardware, of software, of all the infrastructure, none of this stuff is the stuff you find in Best Buy. By the last time people think about Dell, they think about the laptops and things like that. This is, the data center portfolio that we provide. Family is really divided into 3 tiers. CSG is a client services group. Infrastructure Solutions Group, which is where I sit, the heritage, EMC, data center, storage arrays, things of that nature. CSG was the legacy Dell, was again the servers, the laptops, the monitor, things of that nature from a consumer perspective. And then our strategically aligned businesses. VMware is still part of the family, even though they are not a direct cousin anymore. They're still part of the family, even though they broke off. But again, this is really how we spread out and lay out everything really foundationally on the financial services. So we can also do the financing for customers as opposed to lease options and financing and things of that nature. So when you're acquiring these assets, we have all of that in-house. This just breaks down again some of the more specifics of what each of those three groups look like. I live in this area right here talking about all those data center components, storage, network, compute, data protection, which we unfortunately tend to forget about a lot of times, but we need to talk about data protection as well. And then our cloud services providing utility access to data. Everyone knows PowerEdge. PowerEdge leading servers in the industry. I'm not just saying it. I'm not biased. I'm not the guy drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm just we've got a lot of statistics, a lot of information out there saying again, PowerEdge really is leading from a scalability perspective, from a automation perspective, from just an accessibility perspective as well for customers looking at compute environments. We can fit in any type of architecture, rack, modular, towers, scaling up and things of that nature as well. So we've got the different pieces of infrastructure depending on the need for the customer. So it's not necessarily trying to find a particular R7515 to meet every single need, right? We've got rugged systems. We've got systems that are built for compute, systems that are built specifically for high density and things of that nature. So there's a pro and a con to having such a large portfolio, but that really, I think, matters and should matter to end customers as well, that we're not going to try to fit this square peg into a round hole. We've got specific systems that are made specifically for particular needs and environments. This is stuff I like right here, storage stuff, right? So scale up, scale out, all of our virtualization, our CI, HCI, so our converged infrastructure, and our hyperconverged infrastructure. You guys know about VMware and the VxRail, things of that nature. That's where all of that sits. Everything from smaller robo type of environments as well. So robo being the remote office and business office, places to put storage and compute and things of that, and have it serve those offices and call back home and to a centralized location. We're looking to overtake the world with PowerStore. We're renaming everything in the portfolio practically to Power something, PowerStore, PowerScale, Power Max. Depending on the functionality of that particular array, but we really are doing a really good job of positioning the PowerStore portfolio in the marketplace to meet the needs of a high percentage of customers' requirements. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. Preface that right there. Put a networking man right there. I'll give you this. And these slides really just, again, I'm just really, I don't want to drain slides, but this is just saying again, who we are, what we are. We have a ton of products from a hardware side, from a software side, and from an infrastructure side. These, again, now we're starting to get into the best buy stuff, right? Just having all of those solutions as well available for anyone. All of that infrastructure, all of that compute, all of that storage, all of those resources really fall under our future-proof loyalty program as well. So we're not positioning customers in a location where they have to stay with a particular rev or particular iteration of a particular platform. We provide capabilities of being able to have no cost, low cost, without forklifting upgrades into a next iteration. So adding new nodes, adding new capacity and things of that nature, having written out, where's my, there's my deduplication ratio, all inclusive software. That's what I'm going to say, all inclusive software and clear price support. So having it completely written down, saying what we will provide to you, the customer, for each of these arrays, each of these servers that you purchase. 3-year support guarantee, things of that nature. So it's only been 3 years really since PowerStore's been a thing, but in that time we've really, at the iteration of PowerStore, it was to be that mid-tier platform to, again, like I said, meet a high percentage of all of the needs out there. It was built off a containerized operating environment. So folks that know Kubernetes, folks that know those types of things, being able to scale and being able to manage virtualized environments on top of this as well without having to have external infrastructure. So we can do that with power scale, being able to uh, not necessarily have to worry about RAID levels, not have to worry about the old conversation of what RAID level you are, not having to worry about data services from the traditional perspective, but relying on the technology and relying on the array to let it optimize itself, right? Auto tune the efficient, let the array take care of itself. So you, as the system administrator, you as someone within in the organization, can be more strategic as opposed to tactical when it comes to data efficiency, data management, and things of that nature in your data center. It's a different conversation for sure. So when I tend to talk about that, folks not having to worry about RAID levels and things of that nature, they start hesitating a little bit until they actually see it work, see it in action. It does. It takes a little bit to get used to, but we are at that point where we have to start respecting the technology and allowing it to do what it's been programmed to do, as opposed to once again being so tactical within the environment. Since 2020 come out, we initially had a ton of features, gradually moved into adding some more functionality until now. PowerStore 3.0. Oh my gosh, I hate these slides. Tons of new features, NVMe support end to end. That's been a huge thing for sure. 100 gig Ethernet, 100 gig E connectivity within the array in and of itself as well. So that's a phenomenal thing. And then also expanding the capability of how you upgrade nodes and upgrade the modules as well. Fill out these slides. Green, green, green. Scale, fast, efficient. I continue to point to all-inclusive software because again, not having all of that data service, all of that functionality integrated when you buy the array up front, and not having to buy modules, not having to buy access, not having to buy software licensing upgrades, things like that. Having that data services built in when you buy the array day one, that really I think is really at the forefront thinking for the customer. So as you scale and as your business grows, you already have the functionality and capability. You don't have to come back to us. You don't have to come back to KIS. You have it already. Just activate it, flip the switch, turn it on. Faster, faster, faster. These are marketing slides. I know, I'm sorry. I'm a whiteboard guy, right? I need a whiteboard here so I can actually draw, but these are the marketing slides. Our smaller array, the 500, is really interesting in terms of, I say PowerStore, the traditional ones have been kind of the 90% of the market, but this is that other 10%, right? That smaller footprint at a much more attractive price point. And I hate talking prices, so I'll leave that to the sales folks. But being able to put 4 petabytes into U, scaling a cluster out to 18 petabytes is pretty darn good at a price point, which is what I'm hearing is pretty good for companies to swallow in terms of functionality and capability. So being able to take the larger, see if I can add them here. Oh, geez, there's the price right there. So see if I can find the full family. What I want to find is the family. Family. So yeah, 1200, 3200, 52, and 92, right? Cores, capacity, and things of that nature. Everything is included from the data protection and from the a capacity perspective. But you got this smaller array, this 500 that fits really nicely into, again, maybe the remote offices, brand offices, those disparate locations at the edge, things of that nature, where from that price point, you saw a 27K list. Obviously, no one's going to pay that. But again, being able to fit that in and have 18 petabytes per cluster, that's pretty darn good. And it's hard to find here's my competitive speech. It's hard to find a competitor that matches the capability of the Power Store family at the price and the value that is provided here. Right, having all the expansion capability, having the NVMe end-to-end, having the ability to have that dense of compute and that dense of capacity in a 2U environment. Apex, going after Green Lake. Yeah. Probably shouldn't say that while you're recording, but here we are, right? It's they started it. We think we're doing a pretty good job as well, right? The idea behind Apex is cloud first. The idea behind Apex is everything as a service, not just infrastructure, not just your compute, not just your storage, not just your networking. Think retail organizations primarily. I always tell that story. Holiday season needing to spin up an environment real fast just for Black Friday, for whatever. Then in January needing to spin it down, but don't want to physically move all of that architecture. This could be housed anywhere. This could be in our data center. This could be in Equinix. This could be in your data center. This can be at a colo down in the city, or wherever the case may be. So that's the idea behind us really providing a everything as a service utility model and calling it APEC. As I was mentioning earlier about Dell Financial Services, again, at the core of that, because these dollars can be either OPEX dollars, they can be CAPEX dollars as well. So we have that capability in-house, as opposed to having to use third-party institutions to say, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, you want to spin up these environments, these infrastructure environments, fantastic. How you want to pay for it? I don't have the money right now. I don't have the credit for it. Let us do the financing in-house to make it more advantageous for you. But we have that functionality and that capability to do that as well. At the core of this solution are people like KIS, our partners. We're trying to get out of the way. We just want to be the OEM. We just want to be the one who's providing the label on the box. But let the solution come from of how this integrates into each customer's environment come from our value-added resellers, our value-added partners, who can really swoop in over top with the capes on and say, this is how we're going to integrate this into your environment. This is how we're going to do that implementation. This is how we're going to help you manage that portal. When you need to scale your compute, you do it yourself, or you call me, KS, and I'll do it from the portal. Boom, 2 minutes later, it's up and spinning up and running. Leave us out of it. Our partners are a critical piece to how this solution is going to work and is working now. See, I talk more instead of the slides, so I got to go back to the slide. There are two offerings within the portfolio for Apex: cloud services and then custom services. Majority of customers are probably going to go with the cloud services piece, which is, again, built off of our compute platforms, built off of our primarily Power Store platforms as well, but then being able to scale up how much file, block, object storage that they need within those particular environments, and then whatever data service, whatever data protection fits in there as well. So this is this delineation right here of saying, I need this amount of capacity for this long. Where do I want it? As I was saying, either in your data center or data center, I need it to be this mix of performance, capacity centric, performance centric, whatever the case may be. And like I say, block file or whatever the case may be. So this is essentially what that portal, our Apex portal, looks like. The customer is going through and choosing from the menu of what they want their environment to look like. That's where we are. We're everywhere, not just us. Equinix, so we have that huge partnership with, but this is key and critical. This is a good aha moment for a lot of customers as well. You're not just in Amazon, you're not just working with Amazon, working with Microsoft and Google too. Okay. Multi-cloud solution. Now it starts making more sense to folks who are married to a technology or married to a vendor, married to an OEM, whereas we say, you don't have to just work with them. We can drop these boxes in any of these or we can drop these environments in any of these locations as well and have you spin them up there. If you've already got those instances running in Amazon, we tie into those too. A little bit more specifics about configuring the environment. And then the more complex solutions, the more geographically dispersed, I will call them, as well as when we start getting to the custom solutions. So when you have Metro Node, when you have globally distributed environments as well, and where you need to have connectivity across those types of environments, that's where we can come in and also not just your cookie cutter or your traditional deployments, but where we can actually do something more. Talked about the multi-cloud, the fact that we are everywhere. We always forget about data protection. Why is that? Why is it at the end of the slide? We talk about compute, networking, we talk about storage, but we cannot forget the fact that you got to have a strategy for holding and housing that data, especially folks who may be dealing with public entities, state governments, or whatever the case may be. There's a length of time that you have to archive a lot of this information. So let's definitely not forget the fact that data protection is not going anywhere. It's sticky, right? Yeah, we've gone from tape to LTO back in the day. I don't know. I'm not going to date myself. I'm old. I've been around a couple of times. Who remembers the old Arcus days? Yeah, Arcus? No. See? Okay. Iron Mountain. Jeez. Oh, am I the oldest one in this room?
No, I've heard. Probably.
Okay, somebody say.
I've done reel to reel before. That's pretty old.
See, okay, no, nothing wrong with reel to reel. Yeah, of course. And when they're spinning fast, there's nothing happen. They're just being rewound, and no one realized that. Okay, there you go. All right. Hardware, our DP and our DD solutions. DD, the old data domain. We just started to rename everything again. Things are being. Majority of the Dell portfolio is being called Power. Everything on the software side seems to be being renamed to Apex as a service, Apex backup services, things of that. All of the old data domain and data protection gear is being, again, called Power Protect. So kind of keep that in mind if you look through SKUs for Dell equipment, it's all Power and all Apex. Hardware platforms from that side, so the data protect appliances, the DD and the DP, depending on total capacity and RPO, RTO types of requirements that individuals may have. So looking at that, if a physical piece of infrastructure is needed or if a virtual appliance is needed, we can do that as well with our data protect DDV, our virtual edition as well. So it's a piece of software that runs on the environments. More about that. And then obviously the software as well that runs and manages those environments. So I hate the fact that data protection is at the end because it's almost like an afterthought, but we can't forget that as well because that tends to be around longer and have a larger life cycle than even the compute and the storage resources. And there's more regulatory requirements around maintaining and housing that data, how and where and what it's stored on. So the charge to me and KIS is to remember to include those in the conversations. And the charge for the customers is to not think that we're trying to tack something on that doesn't need to be there. As you're growing storage capacity, you got to continue to back it up. And that needs to be kind of a one-to-one type of relationship conversation as we try to scale those things. So when you see the opportunities and you see the deals come through that have, you only asked about compute and you asked about storage, but you see more capacity in the storage array, don't bite his head off, or don't, kind of thing. I tried to blow through that because I wanted to be, dude.
Right on.
Listen, I've never talked that fast in my life, but I was trying to be cognizant of time.
You got it.
If there are, hopefully, I would prefer there to be deeper technical conversations, and we can have those. This was really 35,000 feet level. Seeing everything that was in the portfolio, that first slide at the beginning, so much. Yeah, again, I call it the 800-pound gorilla. A reason for that, there's pros and there's cons to it. But again, rationality is that, again, there is not a particular array server, switch, backup device for for everyone. There's one specifically to each customer's need, depending on the workload. So let us have that technical conversation with KS and you to understand what that technical need is. Forget the model numbers, forget all that other stuff. Let's figure out what that workload management looks like and bring us in and help you guys out. Oh,
All right, thank you.
there it is. Go get that barbecue, or it's probably already gone. But
Yeah, most of it is. All right.